This is John Polroy. I'm coming to you from Tokyo, Japan. This here is an article from Bounding Into Comics. Real cool site, by the way. Check them out if you haven't. This is called Johnny Depp Faces Setback in Libel Lawsuit Against the UK's The Sun. So, from what I understand, the case does have a chance of being dismissed. Former Pirates of the Caribbean and Fantastic Beasts franchise star Johnny Depp has been found to be in violation of a court order after failing to disclose text messages discussing his alleged drug use to defense attorneys for UK-based tabloid The Sun, a decision which could lead to the potential dismissal of the case, like I just said. So it seems like the dismissal is a real possibility. I have a feeling it probably still won't happen, but it could happen. Depp is suing The Sun executive editor Dan Wooten and The Sun's publisher News Group newspapers over a 2018 article they published claiming that Depp was violent and abusive to his ex-wife Amber Heard. Depp has denied these allegations. Heard claims to have been the victim of a 3-day ordeal of physical assaults at the hands of Depp while he was intoxicated on MDMA and alcohol. MDMA, as we know, is ecstasy, and as many of us know, ecstasy is about one of the least violent drugs you could possibly take. And to be honest, most drugs aren't violent. Most drugs kind of take you away to a different place, make music sound good, make things colorful. Drugs usually don't have like this violent effect. Not going to get into it, but since, this is part of the discussion, that's how I see it if I was the judge. Alcohol, that's different for everyone. I don't know, but as we've heard about Johnny's personality through dozens of witnesses, things like that, it seems like even when he's drunk, he's probably, pretty cool most of the time. Depp's legal representative in the case, David Sherborne, believes it would be wholly disproportionate to dismiss the lawsuit, stating that it is now the time for the defendants to have to prove what they published. He explained the central matter in dispute in these proceedings is whether or not the claimant committed multiple acts of serious, unprovoked physical violence during his relationship with Amber Heard, causing her significant injuries and to be put in fear for her life. That's all I'm saying, man. I mean, it's just not about the drug use. I found throughout my life that people will try to get a one-up on you or use drug use against you for something that's not actually related to the drug use. They think, well, he or she used drugs, so that's bad, so this other bad thing they're accused of must have happened. Just something I find. So, I honestly think if this case did happen to get dismissed over some kind of drug-related charge, that kind of screws Johnny up, because it's not really the main point. It's somewhat irrelevant, actually, especially when talking about ecstasy. He added, it is now time for the defendants to have to prove what they published. Okay, said that before. Sherman also referenced James Franco and Elon Musk saying, given that her case is that she was controlled and abused by the claimant and that she could not possibly have left him, that does not sit at all with the fact that she was having multiple affairs. Barring dismissal, the trial is scheduled to begin at the High Court in London on July 7th. It was initially postponed from its original March start date due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 coronavirus pandemic. So, this is tight, man. I don't know. It could go either way here. Some people are really serious and they punish people for having used drugs in the past and they take it as like a terrible crime. Some people maybe see it for the logic, and maybe the judge, Nickel or Nichols, I'm not exactly sure if it's Nickel or Nichols, the judge will be like, well, the drug use isn't exactly part of what we're talking about here, so let's push on. But, if he's a prick, he might be like, yep, Johnny used drugs and he failed to mention that or failed to submit that, so we're going to have to dismiss the case. Guess we're just sitting tight right now until we find the news about whether it'll actually proceed or not. And I'm thinking that news will probably drop pretty soon. I mean, this article is 24 hours old, so I think in the next day or two, we'll find out. Unfortunately, that makes this video a little less valuable, because at some point, we'll know. But for now, if you did like this video, if you're on the side of Johnny Depp, consider subscribing here. I'm of course covering this case. I'm doing some pop culture, stuff like that, even some Star Wars these days. That's how the channel started. If you don't subscribe, I'll be pretty sad, but I'll get over it. Doing pretty good these days. See you next time.